This meeting is being recorded.
That's why there are two of me. Um, yeah, thanks. Welcome to Kernel Building Kernel. This is a brief kind of overview of the services repo, and for anyone who's interested in writing some code and helping contribute. So this is the link of our repo. First thing you should do is fork the repo into your own GitHub account. So while I'm doing this, there we go. And I just want to give a brief overview here in the repo. So please do read our code of conduct. Make sure you agree with that. We also have contributing guides, early days, so we continue tweaking this. But please definitely read through that. This is pretty standard setup with Node. We're using Yarn because we're having a mono repo. We're pushing everything to main directly. So we're raising PRs and then doing a code review and merging it into main. We are running some tests for each PR. Just tries to basically build the app and does some linting using standard JS to do that, and then some through actions. Just the test workflows, and then once anything gets merged into main, we're automatically going to staging. So this is currently done deploying to Google Cloud. We're using Google Apps for the kernel to do emails and calendar. And the way this is organized is basically by app. So each app has its own project. And a project is, in this case, let's see, we're going to be looking at the profile. It's essentially the App Engine app. And all this basically does is, since it's just front-end code, this essentially serves as a static CDN for assets. So we're not using any of the server pieces. That one is separate, the backend. And let's dive into how the repo itself is organized. So we have standard practice for a mono repo is to have it on the packages. So these are essentially all the different apps, and some of them are backend. So authorization, query, task, and services and storage are backend processes, and everything else is essentially maps to a front-end web app. And as you may notice, we're trying to develop this not specific to the kernel, but to make it generally available for any other community of care. So you'll see we're choosing generic terms to represent the concepts in the kernel. For example, profile or projects. This is what we call on profile and adventures. We click into profile, which is actually in the README there. So the way it's organized, let's take this one. This is basically how you start the workspace, and each app is essentially its own package. And then this is just a create React app under the hood. So if we want to run this, so we now have the repo clone. Now you need Node and Yarn installed. So I'm using a Docker image just because I have lots of different versions. And then the first thing you will do is just to yarn install. And this will basically just install all the different dependencies. And this is all documented in the contributing guide. And then if we, after that, let's start with the file. So this is essentially you can just start the so start means that's from the create React app, so that just means starting the development server, and this essentially builds the project and compiles your sources, and you'll see here sets up the local local service that we can now go access. And the way it's set up is that automatically you're connected to the staging backend. So there's no backend service that you have to run locally. So this is the same backend as your staging. So as you saw, I did auto login as well. And this pulls the data from staging. So it's the exact same experience essentially. And we have hot code reload set up. So usually what you would do from here is you go and pull up your editor. So this is the, most apps are pretty simple where we have 1 or 2 pages. So in this case, the unprofile only has really 1 page. And you can see if you go to the end here, it's really rendering the screen here. So this, if you're familiar with React, you will recognize here the nav bar, and then we'll essentially loading and displaying the data. We're having a separate component here for the alert, and everything else is essentially to interact with the storage backend and to handle UI interactions. And maybe briefly, about 3 minutes left. So let me just show the hot code reload real quick. So here's we're using the reducer pattern. And for example, this is the forms. So let's say we want to add country. So I'm saving, it auto compiles, and the country shows up. So the way we organize things is to really, I'm very focused on extending things and being able to change things. So that's sort of how I've tried to kind of organize the code that we can very easily, yeah, do these things. So if we agree, we should have a personal website in there as well. We can just easily change these things, and everything will just work. So there's no changes necessary to the backend. If I save this now, it will be available. Save. So just show you. Actually, no, thing, but if I reload this page, essentially log back in, and then now it fetched it from the back end. So yeah, I think that's 1 minute left. So I think that's all we have time for today, but that's sort of the experience. And next time I'd love to go a little bit into detail on the storage, how we're kind of managing this. So this is this part, we're using an effect to access the services, and created a custom hook to get the current user and services. So that's kind of common to all the apps. And then here's how you get the user, and then you can just interact with the storage backend from here directly. And you kind of have this concept of resources and entities. Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much.
Your time.
Thank you so much, Simon. I just want to emphasize before the recording ends, that's showing off briefly how you can, in 2 seconds, add a form field is the technical manifestation of everything that we talked about around the schema associated with kernel human beings. Right? Like instead of having some fixed schema that then requires you to go and make a change in the back end somewhere where you're like, okay, now we need a website field, where you just have the simple storage service that is a key value pair, you can do this kind of thing in 2 seconds. So if you have feedback about the sorts of data that is most suited to representing people in kernel, let us know, because you just saw how quick it is to make that happen. Thank you so much, Simon.